Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. I am Will, the Uncensored Pharmacist. Glad to have you guys in. I'm going to be doing more shows like this, more content on this channel. We're going to start off with an introduction for those of you that don't know who I am, which is probably most of you. So I'm going to introduce myself. We're going to get into that. And here's what we got on the menu tonight. We're going to be talking about diet and fitness, which is going to lead us right into Ozempic, popular drug. You probably have seen all the memes out there. Mastering the Rumble here was just just hit me up on X talking about if you can't afford Ozempic, go look at Lizzo, right? The South Park meme. So we're going to talk about that and how it's actually quite a big scam, and then that's going to lead us right into and we're going to react to a interview that Tucker Carlson did with a couple of doctors who left the medical field. So they left the medical field, and during their, it was like a 2 hour, 2.5 hour interview. I mean, 2.5 hour long interview. How long was this thing? Yeah, 2 hours and 20 minutes. I would love to react to the whole thing, and eventually we will. We're going to have to break this up in parts. I don't have time to do that tonight. I got to do a show in the morning. But what we're going to do is we're going to react to that. So I'm going to play some of that, specifically the part where they talked about Ozempic, because they go into different aspects of it. So I'm going to break down what Ozempic is, how it works, why it's a big scam, and then we're getting into all that. But first, hope you guys are having a wonderful evening as we have everyone coming in, rolling in this morning. Shout out to everyone over on Rumble. Thank you, Rumble. Throw me up on the pick section too. If you don't mind, give me a thumbs up and maybe a follow if you like what you see tonight. So we're gonna get into that. What up, Mastering the Rumble? How you doing, buddy? How you doing? Or Mastering Rumble? Sorry, I slipped up. I haven't slipped up on that in a while. Anyways, so my name is Will. I am a licensed currently practicing pharmacist in the state of Idaho, also licensed in Washington State. Let me give you a little background about myself. I am, as you can tell, not your typical pharmacist. If you're looking for a guy that's going to wear a white coat and look professional and dress up and all that stuff, that's not me. And if that bothers you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but that's not how I am. But I will tell you this: no one can run a retail pharmacy better than me in this country. I run an independent pharmacy in rural Idaho. A little bit. I graduated from Washington State University pharmacy program back in 2017. Practiced in the state of Washington up until summer of 2023, where I was forced. Well, yeah, I was basically forced to move out due to some certain vaccine requirements, and I wasn't having it, and I wasn't liking what I was seeing from that state. So I moved over here to the great state of Idaho, and which was it's been great. It's been a good move. I actually can do a lot more here as a licensed pharmacist here in the state of Idaho. I have prescriptive authority, which means I can write prescriptions. That's great. If you want to come in and you want to get a blood pressure check with me, you can sit down with me. You can check your blood pressure. We can have a counseling session, and if it seems like we need to get you started on some blood pressure meds, I can get you started on those while you wait to get into your doctor. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, it's kind of hard to get into a doc unless you are real buddy with someone, but or it's an emergency. But to schedule an appointment or anything, my wife, when we moved here, she had to establish a new primary care provider, and it took her 6 months. Just last month, she finally got in. When she tried scheduling it back in March, and they're like, yeah, we got something in September, which is just wild. That's a whole other topic. Actually, I already kind of did a topic on that on this channel, about the doctor crisis in this country. But yeah, the great state of Idaho lets me prescribe medications, which is awesome. So let's say you come in and we do insulin check on you, and we need to bump your insulin up. I can go ahead and go write that script for you, let your doctor know of the adjustments that were made to make sure that they're on the same page, and maybe they agree or they disagree, and they can take the appropriate actions. But that's a little bit background on myself. Oh, and what else? Yeah, I run a retail pharmacy, and I'm pretty damn good at it. Ultimately, one day I want to get out of the medical field, or I would like to open up my own pharmacy. Will's Pills is what I would call it. Just cash only, generic medications, just something small that I can just get by with, and I don't need anything fancy, and I don't want to deal with insurances. It's crazy. I kind of a little one-stop shop. if you just want cheap drugs, and also, occasionally you got strep throat, can't get into a doc, don't want to go to urgent care, you can come see your pharmacist in this great state, and I can diagnose you and write you a script. So that would be the ultimate goal. But doing something like this would be actually be fun too. Just talking about the medical field and how messed up it is. That's why I'm called the Uncensored Pharmacist. We're going to talk about the dirty side of the medical field, which I'm sure a lot of you are aware of. But I'm sure a lot of you, like people my age, I'm 33. So people my age or younger, you don't know about all the dirtiness just from drug companies to insurance companies to just how people get wrapped up in this thing, and if you don't, obviously people are my age and younger don't go to the doc that much, so they don't care about legislations that's being passed about certain things. Like, oh, who cares about that? I don't need to see the doc. But one day you will, and then you're going to realize that you wish you would have done something sooner. So it's another reason why I started this channel, was to hopefully make some more people aware, especially younger people, that hey, we need to fix this. Our whole medical system's screwed up, and people always talk about wanting to change it. It never gets done. And I think a part of it is because the younger generation just isn't aware. But that's my 2 cents. Speaking of my 2 cents, as much as I would love to be your pharmacist, we got to start off with this. I am not your pharmacist. So none of this is medical advice. This is my own opinion. You're free to ask questions, but you're just going to get my own opinion. You should definitely double check with your pharmacist and your doctor before doing anything medical related, or anything that I talk about on here, whether it's start or stop a medication. So not medical advice. I want to cover myself on this one. Not medical advice, just my opinion. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Probably am. Wrong a lot, right a lot, but is what it is. Okay. So we got that out of the way. Let's just dive right into this. So I'm sure many of you know. Another thing about this channel, I forgot I wanted to say. Other things I'm going to do with this channel, we're going to be talking about certain topics that I want to talk about. Like tonight, it's going to be Ozempic. Like I said, I want to go through this Tucker Carlson interview because there's a lot of good stuff in there with these two docs that walked away from the medical field. We're going to only watch one part of that tonight. But I want to do some standalone videos too on that I'm going to be posting on here, of just things like, we got a nasal spray right here, right? Fluticasone, common nasal spray. A lot of you probably on it. Just proper way to use it and how to administer it. I got inhalers here. We're gonna go through different inhalers and whatnot, how to properly clean those, just little tips and tricks. You can find a lot of those videos on the websites of like the drug companies. I'm sure there's a ton of YouTube videos and Rumble videos and stuff like that. But I'm going to do my own and give you a little tips and tricks of things that I've learned, things that they don't tell you about when you watch those videos, like a just little ins and outs. And it'll all be here. And if that you find that beneficial, well, great. And whatnot. Chris, he says, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I am. So I run my main thing is the thing I love is talking about sports and doing sports. So I run a sports morning show every single day here on Rumble, and called the Sports Morning Special Shot. It's my channel is actually Game On. So if you see me on there, you know I'm live every morning, 4:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, because it's the only time I get to do it. I got 5 kids and a wife, so plus a full-time job, so I'm busy. But I as much as I hate the medical field, I do think talking about this is important, and I know a lot about this stuff, and I found that people are actually interested in this stuff. So I'm going to talk about it, and I want to start doing more things on here. I want to try to get to a consistent schedule with this, whether it's 2 times a week or whatever, and posting some videos throughout the week. But I would love to get to this. It's just all about timing, because I'm a father and a husband first, and so that requires me time with my kiddos, time with my wife, plus got to be a provider for the family. So all that stuff. But and I got my sports morning show that I do already, but I don't really need much sleep anyway. So that's why I'm doing this. Like it's what 9:13 right now. And I'll be up to do my show at 4:30 in the morning. I got to set it all up after this too. So, but yeah, hey, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you being here, by the way. It makes it fun, and tips, any advice, any things you guys would like to see me cover, really appreciate it. So if you want to comment and let me know, I would really appreciate that. But yes, let's get into this. All right. So this is Ozempic. All right. You guys have probably seen the memes and stuff about it, it's been taken off, and it's not just like a internet meme, because I feel like the memes and stuff have kind of faded, especially after the South Park stuff, right? But prescription wise, from just what I'm seeing, just more and more people are getting on this, and it doesn't have to be Ozempic, right? It could be Wegovy, which is the longer acting one. So this one you have to inject every day. The Wegovy is the same stuff, but it lasts you a week, so you have to inject yourself a week. Or as you can see here, like Trulicity is another one. So all the same types of medications. They're like in the same. They're like cousins to each other, right? Um, just work a little bit differently. But we're going to use Ozempic because it's, I think, the most well known. A lot of people know this from celebrities using it for weight loss, right? And type people use it for type 2 diabetes. But the whole weight loss part of this is interesting. So that's what we're going to be hitting on. But first, I want to talk about. I knew I should have wrote an outline because I knew I jumble all over the place. I want to talk about fitness and health because that's going to get us right into it. And diets, and we're talking about scams, we're talking about diets. Dieting is there, all those diets out there, all those weight loss diets and programs and whatnot, they're all scams. I'm sorry, that's, I just hate to break it to you, they're all scams. Because dieting is a couple things. One, it never works. Dieting always fails. Why? Because you eventually always, it doesn't matter, you can diet for a year. And then once you get off your diet, you start putting that weight back on. Who have you, I mean, you've probably, I don't even have to say you have to know someone, you've probably done yourself. I do it myself. I know. I'm in terrible shape. I'm not even the person to talk to you about being fit because I am chubby right now. I am chubby. But um diets, they all fail because eventually you go back to gaining that weight back. And why is that? Because if you're going to diet, it needs to be a lifestyle change if you want it to last. Not many people are willing to make it a lifestyle change. Like you can see, like the carnivore diet, that's a lifestyle change, right? If you stick to it, but once you come off the carnivore diet or a keto diet or anything like that, it once you come out of it, you start putting all that weight back on. And so it really is a lifestyle change. Now, these diets and stuff, they work. These like, hey, here's how to lose 20 pounds in 30 days. It works. And you want to know why it works? Because dieting is very simple. I'm going to give you the trick to every single diet plan. You burn more calories than you take in. Voila. Guarantee you that. I guarantee you, if you burn more calories than you consume, you will lose weight. That's all it is. Now, I'm not saying you can't go find one of these diet plans and use it if it helps you change your lifestyle, and if you're someone that needs a coach or needs someone to guide you along the way and help you out and whatnot, then that's great, and I hope that works for you. And if it does, do it. But dieting itself is just, that's what it is. It's just a diet until you decide not to be on the diet, and then it's gonna all come back, right? It's all gonna come back because we all just fluctuate our weights, you know. But it's so hard to make that lifestyle change, right? It's hard to cut out carbs. Carbs are so delicious. It's so delicious. My vice is beer. Okay. I'm not into sweets or anything like that, but so it's October. I'm doing sober October. I hopped on the scale at the beginning of this, and I've weighed the heaviest I've ever weighed. I've also not really tried. I used to be in really good shape. I was an athlete growing up, all that stuff. I have not been to the gym or worked out or done any of that kind of stuff in years. So it's not shocking that I am overweight and the heaviest I've ever been. I also would drink 6 beers a day. You know what I mean? Like that was my thing. But I'm doing sober October this year, and guess what? I'm at 218 now. It's just that it's that fat. Like I said, I don't eat sweets. I eat pretty damn good. My thing is beer, all those carbs, all those, and the alcohol. It's terrible for you. But I know that, and I know what I'm doing. I'm young, one thing. But the other thing with diet and fitness is a lot of people think that when you need to get in shape, you got to go to the gym, right? You got to go to the gym. You got to get that membership. You got to go throw up weights and stuff like that. People, what they do is they dive in too hard. And it's not easy when you first start dieting, exercising. But what they do, especially when you get older, even when you get past 25, even when you're like me, 33, in your 30s, right? It's really just go on a walk is the simplest thing you can do. Go on a I guarantee you, if you have, like, if you're starting to get high blood pressure, high blood sugar, anything like that, and you know, your doc, the first thing they should tell you is diet and exercise, right? So one, cut out the carbs, and then two, you know, carbs like your sweet sugars, don't drink soda. That's like the worst thing that you could possibly drink. But or I guess consume, one of the worst things you can consume. But the other thing is exercise doesn't have to be where you are just going to the gym, killing yourself. You know, you're super sore. It's really hard. I mean, if you're that type of person, you want to do it, go ahead. But dieting and or the exercise part of things could just be do something that you don't normally do. That's exercise. That's burning calories. That gets the heart rate up. And that thing could be as simple as going on a 30-minute walk. It could be as simple as getting on the treadmill, put that thing at incline 2 and just walk for 20 or 30 minutes. I guarantee if you do that every day when you're not used to doing that, you will lose weight and you will get healthier. It's all about just getting the heart rate going. You don't do body weight exercises to first get into things, right? You know, air like squats, air squats, push-ups, sit-ups, planks, things like that. It's super simple. It's just the hard part is getting yourself to do it, right? Motivating yourself to want to do it, finding the time. Trust me, if anyone understands that, that's me about finding the time to do all this stuff. Um, but if you're serious about it, you don't have to kill yourself over it. It's as simple as just going on a walk for 30 minutes, which is really relaxing and great for stress and all that stuff. But you don't have to go throw around a bunch of weights to get back into shape. It's actually I actually recommend doing that first while you lose the first, few, first 10, 20, whatever your goal is, 10, 20 pounds, like do that because one, you start like getting back. Like if I were to just go out and start running a bunch now, God, that's terrible on my knees and joints, right? Because I'm carrying a bunch of extra weight that my body's not used to being the heaviest I've ever been, right? That's not good. It's not good for you. You would like to lose that first 10 or 20 pounds before you start going into that other stuff. So, it's easier on your body all around. Um, but that being said, diets, it's as simple as calories in, calories out. How many calories are you burning? How many calories are you taking in? Thank you for talking about Ozempic. It's horrible. Yes, it is. Trulia is another one I wish you would talk about. It's horrible. We can get into that. We can get into that. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. Okay. So yeah, why am I talking about diet and exercise? We'll do a whole other show on diet and exercise. I just want to briefly touch onto that because that leads us right into Ozempic. Because a lot of people, the first it is frustrating too because a lot of doctors kind of skip over this. And I'm not just putting this on to doctors, and I put myself in that category too. Doctors and pharmacists, like all our education tells us when someone starts getting these chronic health conditions, is the first thing we should talk to them is about diet and exercise. Most people though, like when you're young and you're new, yeah, you do that, right? But then docs have just seen so many patients. This is where it's also on the patient. So many patients like, yeah, I'll diet and exercise. Yeah, I'll cut out the sweets and stuff. And yeah, I'll go on that walk. Something as simple as just say, hey, go on a walk for 30 minutes. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Patients they love lying to you. So you get kind of jaded about it so fast and you kind of just skip over the whole diet and exercise part. But a lot of it could be taken care of with diet and exercise because what we eat is a bunch of crap. And that's another thing in that interview that I want to break down more of when we get a chance to watch the whole interview and break it down. We're going to only watch the Ozempic part of it tonight. But that's the thing that doctors just skip over the diet and exercise part. But that's really what it is, right? That's diet and exercise could clear up a lot of chronic issues in this country. But as you'll find out when we get into this a little bit more, it's not really what the powers that be want, right? It's not what Big Sugar wants. That's not what Big Pharma wants. They want you to just take their drug. Because guess what? You can get this Ozempic here, this wonder shot, right? You take this shot, you'll lose weight. God, that seems awesome, right? Don't have to do anything but just inject yourself with this stuff. Wow. Doesn't it sound a little too good to be true? You will lose weight with it. I'm not saying it doesn't work. All right. I'm not saying Ozempic doesn't work, but what it does to your body is terrible. So here it is. Here it is. What is Ozempic? I pulled this up through Micromedics over here. This is a site that a lot of us pharmacists use. Basically has everything you need to know about drugs in here. And as you can tell, like way more information. Like you can get IV compatibility, drug interactions, any black box warnings, counseling points, stuff like that, range of toxicity, whole bunch of extra stuff in here. But I just kind of wanted to pull this up because then we can look at like what is it actually FDA approved for? So uh and this is another thing that's dirty. They keep trying to add things under this so they can keep the brand name and keep it longer than it is generic. But oh, as you see up here, by the way, uh I call it semaglutide. You can call it whatever you want to call it. The thing about drug names is no one agrees how to pronounce these names. It's just say it with confidence and no one's going to question you. But the active drug in this in Ozempic is semaglutide here, and that's the drug. So like when this eventually goes generic one day, Ozempic, it will be called this. So that's like when you hear pharmacists or doctors talk about generic. Oh, that's the generic of like atorvastatin's the generic of Lipitor, right? You guys probably heard of Lipitor. Probably haven't heard of atorvastatin unless you're on it. Um, it's the same stuff. It's just it gets named. Its generic name is its actually active drug name. So just a little info there for you on that. But yeah, so it's approved for prophylaxis of obesity or overweight, prophylaxis for type 2 diabetes. What's this say? Overweight in the presence of at least one weight-related comorbidity, which is everything, which is everything. Got high blood pressure, that counts. You got pre-diabetes, that counts. You got high cholesterol, that counts. So that covers it's very generic. And also it's for type 2 diabetes. So exactly how does Ozempic work? Well, we can go here and we can look at the mechanism of action. And I'm not going to bore you by reading off, well, it's a GLP-1 agonist. That's the fancy term for it, right? Basically, what this drug does is it tricks your body into naturally releases these hormones in here, right? That tells your body it helps slow down food being processed through your gut and makes your body think it's full. So then you'll eat less, right? That's one of the ways it works. So you'll get full faster. It really reminds me of back in the day. I remember seeing like those infomercials or whatever about this wonder drug. It was like how to lose weight fast, and all you had to do was sprinkle. Maybe I can't remember what it was called, but you just sprinkle the stuff on whatever you're gonna eat, and that's it. That's all you have to do, and you'll lose weight. And people are like, "Oh my gosh, this really works. This really works." Well, yeah. You want to know why? Because the stuff you're sprinkling on there is something that triggers your body and tells your body that, hey, we're full, stop eating. So if you go from eating 4 cheeseburgers a day to eating 2 cheeseburgers a day, yeah, you're going to lose weight, of course. But are you any healthier? Like on the inside, really? Should you really be eating 2 cheeseburgers every single day? Probably not, right? so yeah, you're losing weight, but you're not actually getting healthier. You see what I'm saying? And that's the same thing here with Ozempic. Ozempic, the way it works is, helps your body, produce insulin. It stimulates the pancreas a little bit. Your liver, not converting so much glucagon into glucose and whatnot. So it does all that stuff for you. But what it really does is it tricks your body into thinking it's full, so you're eating less. So yes, you're going to lose weight. But then what happens? It means your body is getting that energy from elsewhere. So it's starting to break down fat, which is good, but it's also breaking down muscle. I mean, there's a reason why there's a meme about Ozempic. You know why? When they're like, oh, the celebrity, they must be on the Ozempic. They got that Ozempic face, right? Yeah, that's because it's your body. It's your body attacking not just fat but muscle. So you're really just you're destroying your body on the inside because it's not just burning fat. You're losing that muscle, which is very important. That's why no one looks healthy on it. And that's why I say this thing's a scam, because you're not really getting healthy. You're not doing the work. You're not going out there and exercising. You're not going out and eating right. Your body's being tricked to think it is. Actually, it's not even being tricked to think it's doing that. Your body's just being tricked to think it's full, so you won't eat as much. So you don't get as hungry as much. So you won't put that extra milkshake down. You know what I mean? So you won't eat that extra bag of chips, right? But that bag of chips and that milkshake, not something that's great to go in your body in the first place. So It really comes down to diet and exercise is way better than anything out there. But people, of course, want convenience. And what's convenient? Just taking a shot, right? There's just a shot to fix it. And what's disgusting is we have the government now wanting to they want to approve this for Medicare and Medicaid to cover it. Medicaid, I mean, it's just Congress wants to as we'll get into in this video, they explain it better, but they want to pass it to where Medicaid will start covering this, and anyone who is obese or overweight, which is like 70% of the country, qualifies under that um, under their parameters of what's overweight. 70% of the country is on it. It would cost us a fortune to put everyone on Ozempic, but that's what they want to do, and they want to put kids on it, and that's disgusting. Instead of just saying, "Hey, let's cut out some of this bad shit that you're eating," right? You know what I mean? Let's just put down the cookies. Here's an apple. Go on a walk. Nah, let's just spend because a pen of Ozempic costs what? It costs just under $1,000. So insurance is usually, I mean, if it's good insurance or whatever, it usually pays out over like just barely over $1,000. Let's just call it $1,000. So you're literally paying out, I mean, $1,000 a month for one person. Now you put like a majority of the people on Medicaid on this drug, and then that's taxpayer money paying for it. That's trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars. It's crazy. What a bear. Slender tone ab belt. That, yeah, exactly. You just slap that ab belt on and it's gonna give you a six pack, baby. I remember you talking about that back in the day. Oh my goodness. Got to be me too. So true. Says so true. Thanks for the discussion. Welcome. Welcome. Glad to be here. Oh, let's see. So yeah, this is another thing. It kind of goes through right here. If you just Google how does Ozempic work, it kind of goes through those things I was telling you. It gets into the more technical thing of it, but mimics those natural hormones that make releases insulin, and also makes you think that you're full, slows digestion, so then your body also thinks it's full, increases insulin production and all that stuff. That's why it works for only type 2 diabetes, not type 1. It won't work in type 1 diabetes because your body does not produce insulin at that point. Pancreas is shot, so it's not going to work. So it's only for type 2 diabetes. But yeah, so Ozempic, big old scam. Hate to burst everyone's bubble on that, but I mean, you could just tell, like, it's like no one looks healthy on it, and that's because they're not on the inside. They're not doing anything. You're not putting in the work. You can't cheat this stuff. There's a reason why no one wants to diet and exercise, because it's hard, and it's not. I'm not saying that actual diet and exercise is hard. It's kicking the habits, because we're all addicted to the junk that's being sold to us, right? It's really hard to eat healthy. I mean, it's really not, but it's just so convenient and easy to just swing by and grab that McDonald's, right? Grab that bag of chips, all this ultra processed food, right? It's just like, it's hard to take the time and go find the fresh vegetables, go to a farmer's market, cook meat, actually cook your own meat instead of getting it deep fried, or eating those deep fried Oreos that I know you like, Eric. You know what I mean? So, so you're not putting in the work, and it's hard. It's hard to carve out time because we're all busy. We're all stressed. We have lives. No one wants to go take the time to go work out. I get it. But honestly, if you, first of all, putting everyone on Ozempic is just insane, especially kids, but that's what they want to do. But if you really want to change anything, it's just diet and exercise, and it doesn't have to be that hard. Cut out carbs. Just cut out carbs. A lot of the carbs. You don't have to cut out all of them. Cut out a lot of carbs, and then just start exercising by like going on walks and stuff like that, and you'll lose weight. Calories in, calories out. How many calories are you burning? How many calories are you taking in? It's that simple. I want to switch over to this though, and hopefully they don't tag me for copyright on this. So just so YouTube knows, we are reacting to this. Okay, I'm going to be pausing it. We're going to be reacting to it. But if you want to go show some love, I don't think Tucker's channel really cares, but who knows? But this is Callie and Casey Means. I believe they're brother and sister. They introduced themselves at the beginning. Like I said, I want to react to this whole thing, but I just skipped up to they're about to lead into the Ozempic part. I stopped at just a little bit before that. So they're going to talk about that, and then they're going to talk about the dirty stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Like why is this being pushed on everyone? You know what I mean? So we're going to react to that. One thing I want to say about these two, because you'll hear Tucker throughout this whole thing saying, "Man, why aren't more people like you?" Background story, real quick, on these two. So these are doctors that walked away from the medical field. I believe this gal is the one that was like in a fifth year. So she got her degree, and then she did a residency. She wanted to be it was either an ear or eye special surgeon, like a specialist. I think it was ear. Anyways, she was in her fifth and final year of the residency. That's after all the pre-med and the med school. That's 5 years after that. It's crazy. She decided to walk away, which is good for her. But Tucker asked, like, why are more people not walking away like you? Well, and they do a good job kind of talking about it, but not everyone has that luxury, right? Not everyone has, their parents paying for school for them. Me, myself, I would love to walk away. And that's what my goal is. My goal is to get there. So I'm grinding now. I want to get, I want to either do this or, like I said, or go open up my own pharmacy so I can just work with patients and not have to, be in the system anymore. I can do kind of what I want to do or just walk away in general. But not everyone knows how corrupt everything is until you're already thrown in it. And if you're like third or fourth year, you're about to finish up your schooling, you can't just walk away from all that student debt. You know what I mean? What are you going to go do to pay all that off? So a lot of people saying it. So like me myself, I'm in it, but I'm here and I'm honest with my patients, right? A lot of times they'll come and ask me for recommendations, actually daily, on over the counter stuff. And if there's really nothing that's going to help you out, like, you just got to suck it up, buttercup, or you need to go get seen. Like, you'd be amazed about some of the questions I get asked. I'll tell you that, though. I'm like, I'm not gonna, like, yeah, I could try to get you to take something that might make you feel better and I get a sell out of it, right? But that's not what I'm there for. Not everyone's like that, but I also can help people and, give them an honest opinion, some opinions that people are afraid to talk about. Like, for example, the COVID vaccine, right? A lot of people just towed the line and did what the government said. So, not myself. I gave my honest own opinion on it, and we'll get into that another day too. But so when you hear him like, why are more people not waking up like you? It's because some people just are stuck, and it sucks. It sucks. But anyways, let's get into this.
Circadian rhythms are destroyed. So every level of society, public school start times are disrupting our food, our nutrients, our sleep, our stress and dopamine, our movement patterns, and our toxins. And we are getting destroyed.
And this is the visible hand. And we just have to understand this when we're thinking about healthcare policy. There's nothing more profitable than a sick child, as I said, or really hijacking a kid's dopamine, right? Think about the trillions of dollars that are generated from a child's dopamine being hacked, being on that phone all day. It's neither good nor bad necessarily. It's just an economic fact. There's a huge incentive for that.
That is also going to be crazy of, like, we're in a new time of, we're seeing people grow up with the internet, right? I mean, I grew up I was born right before the internet really got going. Growing up with the internet my whole life, but like people, not just the internet, but people that, like, let's see. I'm trying to think. So like my oldest daughter, 2010 she was born. She what she's always grown up with the internet, Wi-Fi. Probably doesn't even know what a landline is. I think about it. It's just crazy. People that grow up with tablets. Hell, I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they know how to whip through a tablet like it's nothing and actually like pull things up, and it's crazy. So we there's a good push pull on that kind of stuff, right? Like, we're clearly addicted, myself included, to phones. I mean, hell, I'm on a computer stream right now. You're all watching me on something right now, right? It's just the way we consume, but like, that's just technology and it's advancing, and that there's good things with that, but there's going to be downsides and negativities. And how does that tie into health, and how are we going to have to treat that as time goes on? So it's an interesting point they have there about that, but it's all to get you addicted. It's the same thing. Same thing as how they get you that dopamine hit with your phone is the same thing with food, right? They make food just more delicious by putting a bunch of sugar and crap in it. And that's a little dopamine hit and you get addicted to it. You know, there's some stuff I've caught myself. I'm like, why am I eating this? I always feel like crap after I eat this. But why? Oh, because I'm in the middle of the work and it's real quick to go grab that. And it sounds really good. And at the time it's good. And then like 30 minutes after, I'm like, why the hell did I eat that? I'm sure you guys can all relate.
Chronic stress to be just triggered nonstop on that phone. There's huge profit for a child to be addicted to ultra processed food and continuing to demand from their parents that food. There's huge incentive for a child to be sick and getting on the statins, which are doubled in prescription rates in high schools in the past 10 years, to get on the SSRIs that are now handed out like candy in high schools, to get on.
That's another stream and another topic, diving into the SSRIs and how they're basically worthless. There's so many drugs that have come out. There's been like common over the counter. So there's cough and cold medications that have come out, and like they just like the FDA. Was it the FDA? Who was it? Someone. I think it was the FDA. I'll have to look it up. Anyways, doesn't matter. They came out and said, oh yeah, by the way, that thing that we've been selling over the counter for the last 20 years, yeah, it actually really doesn't do anything. It doesn't do what we said it does. Kind of worthless. But we made billions of dollars off of it, so we're good. Same thing with SSRI. Same thing with statins. Oh God, those are terrible for you. But we'll get into that in another stream.
On the metformin, to get on the Ozempic, which is now being recommended. They're pushing for 6 years old and up for if your child is overweight, lifetime.
Can you imagine that? By the way, a 6-year-old, hey, instead of telling them to go outside and get some exercise, right? Let's just give them a shot. A 6-year-old. Man, I saw a couple of young kids. I mean, I'm seeing it more and more now. Not so much where I work, but just out and about. I start noticing it more now that I've been like in the medical field and like seeing this stuff and diving more into this kind of things, and how a lot of everything's just pushing towards like getting everyone on a drug. But I've been noticing like how fat our kids are now. And I'm like, God, that's not something that happened many years ago. That's not even when I was a kid, there was always chubby kids, right? But there wasn't like lots of them. And I'm talking like where they look like the Michelin Man. You know what I mean? Like, and there's multiple of them. So what is that? It's probably something in our food, right? But no one wants to talk about that. No one. That's why we're going to talk about it, because no one else wants to talk about it.
And prescription Ozempic. That's very profitable. So you have basically the free market at work. I think capitalism is the greatest invention in human history. But just looking agnostically at the incentives, it's as many pills as we can give that kid, as much we can keep that.
Thanks, Mumford. Appreciate it.
Kid in fear, as much as we can keep that kid sick without dying right away. That's what's fueling the largest industries in the country.
Most of us, well, actually all of us, go through our daily lives.
Coming up, hold on. He hits us. Tucker, we're not going to, appreciate you letting us do this, but we're not going to give you a free ad. Sorry. Unless you really want us to.
Recommend it. Let me just ask, there's so many, this could go on 10 hours.
What a cool setup too, by the way, just to chill and do an interview with Tucker. I think it's at his house. One of his houses.
Let's just stop with Ozempic really quick, because Ozempic, and you and I had a pretty remarkable conversation about Ozempic. And at the end of it, I thought, well, that's never going to be popular because that's kind of terrifying. I was wrong as usual. And now it is ubiquitous. Kids are taking it. College students are taking it. As a physician, what's your view of Ozempic?
I think it's very dark. I think it's...
So like I said, they're about to go into everything that we kind of just touched upon, but they're going to talk about the other side of things, of like the drug company side of it, Congress's side of it, politicians wanting to push it so they can line their pockets. This is not going to surprise anyone. They don't care about me or you. They don't care about the American people. They just want to help businesses push products, get us fat, trick us with a shot, a cure-all shot to make us skinny, when it's really not making us skinny. It's just killing us on the inside. I guess it is making us skinny, but not in the good way, right? So we're going to get into all that.
It's a stranglehold on the U.S. population, almost like solidifying this idea that there is a magic pill. Literally, the book by Johann Ari is called Magic Pill. and convincing us that, salvation from our chronic health issues is going to be found in a shot when we are living in a toxic stew that's destroying our cellular biology. It's, of course, for certain patients.
By the way, they like to use a lot of fancy big words and the correct terminology of things. You're never going to hear that from me. I'm just going to kind of say it in plain language. But I do appreciate people that talk like that. I had a buddy that was super smart and talked like that, that I graduated with. That's not me. So that's what you're looking for here. I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint.
Taking GLP-1 agonists is going to be helpful for their conditions and might jumpstart their way to getting back to health.
Is that the name of the active drug?
GLP-1 agonists. Yeah. So GLP-1.
Sorry, not fluent in this.
No. It's that's what the medications are, and so they're basically stimulating a hormone that's made in our digestive system that cues satiety and does many other things. And so
satiety is
making us feel full, making us and what's so interesting, like we are like Callie said earlier, like we are the only species in the world that has an obesity and chronic disease epidemic. The only species in the world that has a chronic disease and obesity epidemic because of ultra-processed food. You think about every other animal in the wild, they're eating.
Isn't that crazy too? That more and more people aren't like talking about this. It's amazing how they've just been able to trick everyone into that. I mean, go back 100 years. We didn't have this kind of problem. 100 years is not that long ago. A couple generations. Not that long ago. Yet nowadays you look, hell, myself, I'm fat. I just told you I'm overweight. I know why I am though. But also it's so easy. It's so easy just to balloon up. Because it's just so easy to go grab all the food that they give us that makes it quick and convenient. And it tastes good. I mean, who doesn't like pizza? Right? Or big cheeseburger. Right? Or pasta. Oh God, pasta, yes. But it's all not good for you. Soda. That's the worst. If you could just cut out soda, you'd be set. if there's one thing you could do, is cut out drinking soda.
Real natural foods, except for domesticated animals, which are also getting chronic diseases just like humans because they're eating our food. But every other animal.
That is also another thing too. I have seen so many. So I work on a rural area, but I don't think many people know this. If you have a pet and they need a medication, you can get most medications from just a regular pharmacy, and it's a lot cheaper because they're all generic. There's a few things that you either have to get through the vet that the pharmacy can't get. They're just very pet specific, or pharmacies just don't typically carry them. But a lot of the just same medications that we take, they take, just they're on different doses than we are for the most part. And they're all generic and they're super cheap, but the vet's going to charge you like out the ass for it. So just FYI, if your pet ever needs anything, but also like she's saying, why are our pets all of a sudden getting these chronic conditions? Like I've seen pets get antidepressants. Take your pet on a walk.
They're able to regulate their satiety. They're not eating themselves to death like we are. We're literally eating ourselves to death. The reason is because these foods, like Callie talked about with the cigarette companies and the scientists moving to create addictive ultra-processed foods, they are designed to subvert our satiety mechanisms like GLP-1 secretion so that we never know that we're full. But if we were eating whole, real food, we would cue the exquisite satiety mechanisms in our bodies and we would not overeat. If you're eating real, whole, unprocessed, nutrient-rich foods, we have receptors in our gut that make us feel full. It's not rocket science.
Can't. If you eat just protein, which is hard,
you can't overeat.
You cannot overeat.
No, that's right.
You can't eat too much steak.
Dude, that is so true. So I did the carnivore diet. I actually really like it. When I do diet, like I am now, I usually just stick to like mostly meats because I just cut out carbs. And who doesn't like eating a bunch of steak? But when I did I did the carnivore diet for a month, just to try it out. Very hard to do. Meaning like just finding the time to do it and also sit down and eat so what I would do, which was great, I'd eat like 3 or 4 eggs and 2 pounds of steak in the morning. Take me like 30 or 40 minutes to just eat the thing. But I get up super early, work out, do that. But the cool part about it was wouldn't have to eat the rest of the day once I got used to it. Took a few days and then I got used to it. It took me about a little over a week just to build up. I would eat more eggs than I would meat, just building up, like getting my body used to just eating that much meat. And then it got to a point after like 2 weeks. I remember my wife and I were dating at the time, and I went over and I cooked up some tri-tips and stuff for her family. I had dinner with her family. I just kept eating and talking, which I tend to do. Is I like to talk a lot, hence why I'm on here talking. And I have a morning show in the sports area, or in the sports field. I talk a lot, and I didn't even realize. I just was just eating and eating and eating. Everyone was done. I didn't even realize. And my wife looked at me and she's like, "Hey, you done yet?" I was like, and I wasn't full. I didn't feel full. I was so used to eating so much meat. I was just like, well, yeah, I guess I could be. I mean, I could eat more, but yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, I'll be done. But that was the cool thing about it. Cause I'd eat that 2 pounds of steak in the morning. I go to work. I worked a 10-hour shift in a retail pharmacy, not taking a break and just drinking I had a big old jug of water. Just drinking that was perfectly fine. Didn't feel like I needed a break. Had a lot of energy. Didn't feel tired or sleepy throughout the day. It was amazing. Now you're saying, well, if it's that great, why don't you just do it all the time? That's the part where I've been talking about the whole life thing, man. I got 5 kids now. It's tough. But yeah, I could do it. I just need to choose to do it and actually do it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. The whole diet and exercise part is hard. I get it. I'm right there with you. I'm not preaching to you guys. I'm currently dieting right now. We're doing sober October, and losing weight. So I'm going to go on this journey with you guys. I'm just trying to tell you this stuff does actually work. Dieting, exercise do. I'm not telling you have to go full carnivore. That's not for everyone. But there's been a lot of good studies on it lately. We will do a carnivore stream one of these days too. But yeah, I just want to throw that in there.
It's not even possible.
And think about this. It's incredible if you can convince people that this is not true. And defy the entire animal kingdom. What's happening with every other animal? This could be on track to be the most profitable medication ever in human history. It will be if the powers that be let it. And the unfortunate part is that it doesn't take our bodies out of the toxic stew that's crushing our biology. Yes, we may melt some fat, but we're essentially creating starvation to melt fat and muscle without changing any of the other levers that we just talked about that are crushing our biology. So
bingo. And that's one thing I forgot to talk about too. I was saying it makes you feel full, right? So you don't eat as much. Oh, great. So I'm not eating as much. Okay. And that works because you start losing that fat at first, right? You lose that extra fat that your body's been carrying around. That works great. Why do people get the Ozempic face? Because eventually you're not taking in enough calories because your body's so used to being, it keeps getting triggered telling it it's full. So you're not taking in enough calories. So then you're naturally just burning more calories than what you're taking in because of the Ozempic. Now that your body's got to get that energy from somewhere, and when it starts running out of fat to burn up, well, then that's where it starts attacking muscle, and that's why you get that Ozempic face. And everyone looks like they're dying. They look like a vegan.
This is not the public health solution. You look at what's happening, though.
Do you think there are potential downsides to it?
I mean, every medication has downsides, and this one has well-known.
Sometimes the downsides to the medication is actually the intent of the medication. Like this medication has a side effect, it makes you drowsy. Oh, good, because that's what I want. I want that to help me sleep. So there's a lot of medications. It's weird. They studied it for one thing, and they found out the funniest one about it is the Viagra. The Viagra, originally how it got started was they were testing it for blood pressure, and it does lower your blood pressure. And some people actually take low doses of Viagra like multiple times a day, because they have like this resistant high blood pressure. It's called resistant hypertension and whatnot. So it works for them, or certain cardiovascular diseases. They need it, or they say they need it, right? Just come out and say you like taking it. Just say your wife likes when you're on it. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Anyways, but so they originally were using it we're testing it for a new blood pressure medication, and then they found out the side effect. which everyone says all side effects are. You hear a lot of people saying all side effects are bad, or people just think side effect. You're like, ooh, that's bad. That's not a bad side effect, right? Could you imagine that study? That like if you did the double blind study on that, like you get a room full of 20 men, 10 of them got Viagra, 10 of them got the placebo, 10 of them are starting to feel real gay. Hey, how you doing? Whoa, what is going on in your pants there, sir? Oh, that would have been hilarious to be doing that study.
Own side effects. It disproportionately causes us to lose muscle mass, which creates frailty, which is one of the things that can cause old people in old age to have very poor quality of life and early death. It has a higher rate of thyroid cancer. It has risks on the label of kidney dysfunction, of pancreatitis, of all sorts of things. Every medication has side effects. So if we're going to mass prescribe this,
Let's go back to that real quick. Let's look at these side effects that they list. So how side effects work is on here, you'll see a lot of the medication safety. So what's contraindications? What do we have? A lot of these, so a lot of the stuff you'll see on here for the side effects are what was reported in the study. But then afterwards, what's supposed to happen when it hits the market is anything that ever happens, even if it's unrelated to the drug, should be reported. So let's say someone, I don't know, someone gets a I don't know, a thyroid medication. Okay. Let's say they take a thyroid medication and all of a sudden they stroke out. Well, and it doesn't matter if they were new to the med or they've been on the med for years, they stroke out and someone wants to report that, they can. Now, we don't know if it was because of the thyroid medication. Could have been all the cocaine they were doing, right? We don't know. But probably the cocaine. But if it gets reported, they have to put it on there. So that's why when you see like drug side effect, if you ever like when you get up a new prescription and they hand you all that paperwork and you can go straight to the side effect thing, and there's that laundry list of things, or when you hear on the TV all the drug commercials and the guy starts quickly reading through all the side effects that they want to talk about and they list some of the other ones up there so you can see it so they don't have to say it. That's because they have to report everything that was on there, even if it's not really related to it. So a lot of these on here, you will see like percentages next to them. So that's how you know if they're more common or not. Here we go. Adverse effects, also known as side effects. So they have they separate it by common and serious. So the serious one is increased heart rate. That makes sense. Endocrine metabolic. So thyroid cancer. That's been a big one. That's another thing about this. Like she was talking about pancreatitis and whatnot, but the thyroid cancer has been exploding with these drugs. And when I say exploding, it's not like everyone gets it, but something like this, and let's say even 5% of the people on it get it, that is huge. That should not be happening. So yeah, let's see. Obviously, anaphylaxis and whatnot. If you're injecting anything into your body, that can happen. Let's see. So the most common one is hypoglycemia. So that means low blood sugar. Makes sense, right? If you're kind of borderline diabetic and you take this and it starts kicking in and forcing your body to produce more insulin through your pancreas, right? You might overproduce, which means you might experience episodes of low blood sugar, which can be dangerous. Probably with this one, not common that it would be like life threatening unless you like passed out from it and then hit your head on something, but like not like if you overdid it with like an insulin shot or anything like that. But you wouldn't. The risk of that with this one is low. But I mean, look at that. So on its own, like I was saying, so low blood sugar on its own monotherapy. So that means just the Ozempic itself, about 1.6 to 3.8%. That seems about right. I mean, someone could have just not eaten that day, or it's weird things happen. But like in combination therapy, so if you're using this plus you're using like if you're using like a glipizide or something else that's already stimulating the pancreas, now you're giving something else that could also stimulate it. You're seeing 6 to up to 30%. That's also why there's like so many different, like that's why as you come here and you see you got the red one, the blue one, and the yellow one. The red one's the initial one. That's why they titrate you. So for the standard dosing for this is that 0.2 milligrams 0.25 milligrams daily And you do that for about 6 weeks. And then if everything's all good, the red one turns into a 0.5. And then after that, it goes up to 1, which is the blue one. And then it goes to 2 milligrams, which is, those are probably the people that are more already diabetic, or just their pancreas is just not working as well as it should be. So that's why there's a titration with these ones. You don't want to ever just start a patient on one, just in case they do, especially if they're on other blood sugar medications, because that hypoglycemia is no joke. Real quick, let me see. I got a comment over here. Teeks says, that funny. Thanks for being here. Okay, where are we at? So what were the other ones? Gastrointestinal, abdominal issues. That makes sense, right? You're injecting something into your stomach. You're gonna have abdominal pains. I mean, most medications people complain about anyways. That's like the most common. You'll see that on every single nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, or constipation. Those are some of the most common ones, because that's another one that it might not actually be real. It might just be the person, and it actually might not even be related to the medication itself, but it's just so common. Like, you take something and then you don't feel good that day. So you're like, oh, it must have been like this drug study that I was in. It must be the new drug that they gave me. Right. And so many people, it's weird. So many people, it seems like they're always like nauseous or whatnot with new medications. I'm not saying it's anything against them, or if you're someone like that, it's just how your body reacts. It's strange. It's strange, but it's very, very common. And then headache. That's actually a pretty common one too with a lot of medications. But and this one, I mean, that's pretty high, 14 to 17%. Usually the headache you see 10% or less. But I guess it makes sense. You're messing with a lot of hormones and stuff in your body, can throw things off. So those are the common side effects to this one. Just want to talk about that while she was going through the list of them.
There's a bill right now in Congress, HR 4818, which
this is where it goes. This is what I said. This channel, one thing I want to talk about is make more people aware of these things, especially the younger generation. Congress, we all know they do dirty, shady shit all the time, but like, I didn't even know that this bill was going through until I heard them talk about this, that they were trying to propose this bill, and it's insane. It's insane. So if I haven't heard about it, I'm not saying I'm up to date on every single, medical thing that they're trying to pass through Congress, but you damn sure know that the average person hasn't heard about it. And this is just, it's bad. And that's why we need to be more educated on this stuff. So then we can make our voices heard, right? And actually get some change going. And if you don't think this affects you because you're young and healthy, you're wrong. It's going to affect you, especially when they start taking trillions of taxpayer dollars like they want to do to pay for this drug so everyone can have it. That's going to affect you financially eventually, one way or another.
which is the Treat and Reduce Obesity Act. And, you look at this and you think, oh, this is great.
Remember with Congress too, anything that they say, think the opposite. So let's treat, what is it? What'd she say? Treat and Prevent Obesity Act. Just do the opposite of that. And that's what the bill is.
The government's focusing more on obesity, and this is awesome. There's one line that all that matters in that, which is that they want to expand Medicare access to include coverage for these for obesity medications, which are these drugs, for people that include overweight and obese. That is 74% of the American population. If this bill goes through and everyone who is eligible for this drug gets it paid by taxpayers, that will represent over $3 trillion per year in drugs to the American people without changing any of the root causes of what is making us sick. And
$3 trillion a year. You know what we could do with $3 trillion a year? Well, we could be dealing with the hurricane stuff going down there in North Carolina, right? The Carolinas, Georgia, and all the other places that were affected by it. Yeah. Was it Hurricane Helene? I think is what they're calling it. Talking about FEMA doesn't have any money to help them out. Well, instead of trying to pass this bill and spending $3 trillion on it, could probably maybe use that money for other things in the country, right? And like she's saying, it doesn't even address the root cause. Like I was saying, diet and exercise is what you got to do. This is just the magic wonder shot to make you skinny. but you're not really healthier. So you're not. This is such a government thing to do, to act like you're curing the problem, which is they look at it like, oh, people are overweight, we just need to make them skinnier and not weigh as much. Instead of saying, hey, how do we make people healthier? It's not all about losing weight. Like I said, eating right and just exercising. And exercising, I'm going to keep repeating this, doesn't have to be going to the gym. Exercising just means going out and getting the heart rate going, getting it up, getting the heart rate elevated. Just a 30-minute walk a day. Whether you want to do it on a treadmill, a little incline, you just want to go stroll around the neighborhood, go on a walk, do it at a decent pace. Don't just be like casually walking. You got to get a little pep in your step, but nothing where you're going to be huffing and puffing afterwards, feeling like you want to collapse because you're so exhausted. You know what I mean? But no, let's spend $3 trillion a year so the fatties can get a shot. Oh, by the way, let's make sure we make the definition of overweight so easy to classify. 74% of the country based off our standards. And I'm not saying people aren't fat, but based off our standard, eventually if 74 is a majority of, if 74% of the people, you would think you would probably want to recalculate those numbers and say, okay, what's our threshold to be overweight now? Because clearly we've all gained a little bit more weight. Maybe we need to move that thing over a little bit instead of doing these outdated BMI charts. What up, AK? They want to normalize obesity so they can provide the solution, aka subscribe medication, subscription medication, not prescription. Yeah. 30-minute walk a day reduces your risk of cardiovascular event by 70%. That's facts. That's what I've been saying. People think that to get back in shape, you got to do all these. You got to get to the gym. You got to, kill yourself. Basically, just try to get back in shape, and really, that it never works because eventually you overdo it, and then you're less likely to want to go the next day because your body hurts. Right? You overdid it. Whereas all you got to do is cut out carbs and go on a walk. Guarantee you lose weight, and not even just losing weight, you'll be healthier. Walking slowly is okay too, dude, as long as you go long enough. If that works for you, fine. Just the main thing is getting out there and moving. 70% of Americans do not reach the ACSM guidelines for moderate exercise. She said something earlier. I can't remember if it was earlier in this or if we're about to hear it. I think it was earlier in this because I was trying to find the part to where to start this, that the average kid nowadays gets less daylight, spends less time outside than a person in prison. Wonder we have health problems and we have all these mental health issues. That's crazy. Walking like a Native American is great. Striking with the balls of your toes. All right. Just move. Get out and move. Let's start there. And then and that's the thing is eventually if you want to, after you've been doing it for a while, if you want to start jogging a little bit, whatever, depends on, how old you are or what your goals are or whatnot. If you want to do that, great. Main thing is just get out and move. Starts by just getting up, doing something. Did you know eating 2 bowls of cereal? I saw you post this today. That is insane. Did you know, which also makes me think of like, man, I am diving into a lot of this stuff. I've been cutting back on a lot of things I've been giving my kids. Cause I'm like, this is not, I know you guys run around like maniacs and burn this all off, but it's still not good for you. 2 bowls of cereal is equivalent of eating almost a dozen donuts. 2 full bowls of cereals has roughly 455 grams of carbs. That is insane.
To add insult to injury, this will be taxpayer money being largely funneled to Europe, who makes the drug. So people need
which
to
they don't
wake
prescribe,
up.
and it's 10 times less expensive, and it's not the standard of care in Norway when you are obese.
Is that where it's made?
Yeah.
Novo Nordisk.
Yeah, there's a step ladder, and you get the keto diet and exercise incentivized from the government.
In the country that makes Ozempic.
Isn't that just shocking too? This probably doesn't surprise any of you guys, but it's like, oh, not only do we want to spend all this money? We don't even make the drug here. We're giving it to another country. Like, I hate the government.
And
Yeah,
the
oh,
American
yeah.
Academy of Pediatrics in their most recent obesity guidelines are recommending these drugs for kids as young as 12.
And pushing for 6.
This is a lifelong medication at the cost of about $1,500 a month with many side effects that does not change any.
I think those numbers are a little high from what I see. It's I would say 1,100 is probably the average, but either way, it's a lot of money.
Of the root causes issues that are toxifying, literally destroying our brain.
Because also, if you're on this drug, you're probably on other drugs. So if you add them all up, maybe 1,500, depending on what you're on. But if you're on this drug, you're probably on other drugs too.
Brains and bodies.
Can I ask? I mean, as you've said 3 times, and I hope you'll say it 3 more. Every drug has side effects, but they seem like intentionally downplayed in a lot of cases. Most famously with certain COVID-related medicines, but there are others where they just don't really want to talk about. Doctors don't seem to want to talk about the potential side effects. Why is that?
Because if you have an obese patient,
Weird.
Because docs are in on it, man. Let me tell you how these, let me just from my experience, okay? With drug reps. Worked at a spot, this is how it works. They find a doctor, they got this new drug, it's brand name. They go and target a doctor that they want to, that has the clientele for that drug. This happened to be it's not even, I don't even think it's made anymore. It went out real fast, but it was an opioid that it was supposed to be abuse deterrent, meaning that people couldn't like crush it up. It was supposed to prevent people from abusing it, like crushing up like OxyContin and whatnot, and then like injecting it and stuff like that. It was supposed to deter people from being able to do that. So that's what made it that's why they were able to make this new brand name drug and whatnot. And anyway, so they would target a clinic, that, pain clinic, and then they would find a pharmacy that would stock the drug, or pharmacies, or clinics and you know what I mean? So what they do is, they're not paying you directly. Maybe they are on the side. I don't know. I never saw any of that part, but what I did see is drug rep would come in 3 times a week. He'd say, "Hey everyone, how we doing? You guys want coffee? Let me go to Starbucks. Let me get you coffee. Oh, with your coffee? Don't worry. I had Starbucks throw in some of those cake pops, and I also had them throw in, look at these breakfast sandwiches. You guys look hungry this morning. Right, cool. By the way, what do you guys want for lunch?" And you could get anything. You could say Olive Garden, and you go to Olive Garden and get it. You get pizza, pick a pizza chain. They'll go get it. There was no like limit on what you could get. And he did this for 3 times, on average, 3 times a week for 6 months straight. I got real fat during that time, but it was delicious. But I mean, you know what I mean? So it's you're not paying them directly, but they start doing that. Why are they doing it? Because they know you're pushing their drug. They're just making money hand over fist on it. So what is a doc going to do, right? Is the doc going to be like, "No, hey, actually, I'm going to really focus on these side effects, and I don't really like them." No, man. You're going to get your free cake pops and lunch. Take care of your crew. Patients do not have any idea on side effects of their. No, they don't. Patients, it is so shocking to me how many people you would think that when you're on medications, maybe if something new, you're kind of wondering about it, whatnot. You would think, though, if you've been on medications, that you would remember what they are. I have so many people every single day. "Hey, I need this refilled. I left the bottles at home, though." "Okay, I got your profile pulled up. Is it this one, this one, this one?" "I don't remember which one it was." "Well, what's it for?" "Do you remember what it's for?" "No, I don't remember what it's for." "What?" "I just take it. Doctor told me to take it. I take it." "Oh." Or I love the one when they get on a new medication and it's like, "Okay, you have questions?" "Yeah." And they start asking questions. I go, "Did the doctor go over any of this with you?" "No, he said you talked to me about it." Oh, cool. I mean, I will, obviously. It's my job, but it's like, "Hey, doc, you should probably like at least talk to them a little bit about it. Like, what it's for, any side effects to look out for." It's crazy. It's crazy.
Okay, so let me just paint the picture. They're pushing for 6, obese or overweight.
6 years old.
Yeah. So we have obviously an obesity crisis among 6-year-olds right now in the country. In Japan, the child
Nailed it. One drug for this, another to deal with the side effect, then a medicine for the side effect of the side effects medication. Gravy train. That's right. That's right. Or it's just like, you know, they make it so easy. Like if you have high blood pressure, well, let's check your cholesterol levels. Oh, those seem a little high. Since you're high blood pressure, you're at risk for a cardiovascular event, so we got to get you on a statin. So let's put you on the statin. Or, oh, you have diabetes. Well, diabetes, it means you're increased risk for cardiovascular event. Let's get you on a statin as well. Probably should get that blood pressure under control too. It's just like they just start throwing things at you because all the chronic diseases, chronic conditions are all interlinked. It's rare that you just have one and can't link it to another one. Yeah. Yeah. To keep us as customers. That's absolutely right. Yep. Subscription, not prescription. That's right. And what's fun? It's crazy. It's always shocking too about how many people are just okay with taking it and don't ever. I think they just don't realize that. Like, yeah, you might need this medication. Like, you might be pre-diabetic and you need some of this medication, but you can get off of this stuff. You can get your blood pressure under control. It all comes back to one thing too: diet and exercise. You can get rid of all these things, but people just go with the flow because doc said so.
the obesity rate is 3%. In the United States, 50%
This is uniquely
of teens,
American.
50% of teens are overweight or obese. So let's just look at that, right? We're clearly just force feeding into our children toxic food that's causing this massive issue. And now any parent watching, particularly lower income, because this bill is pushing for Medicaid. So if you're a lower income, so why are they lobbying? Why is this company in Scandinavia one of the 5 largest lobbying spenders in America and pushing so hard for this? And why is the stock so high and it's the 12th most valuable company in the world? They're expecting 80 to 90% of their profits from the United States, from the government, by rigging the institution. What institution are pharma companies rigging? They're actually rigging Medicaid. They're actually profiting off poor people.
I was talking about this earlier. I had thrown the question over to Robert Barnes because I wanted to get his legal take on it, but there's so much spending in Medicaid and it keeps going up and up every year. But one of the things that's frustrating, so they want to throw this brand name drug on there, which is going to cost the taxpayers so much money. And it costs people on Medicaid nothing to get it. So of course they're just going to, yeah, give me that. And doc says I need it. Give me my drug. I got nothing against anyone that's on Medicaid. All right. I'm not here to talk about people that have to use Medicaid. It's there for a reason. I definitely think it's abused, but I'm not here. I'm not focusing on the person that is on Medicaid. I'm more so the government and the way it's all set up. But one of the things that people don't know is Medicaid forces pharmacies. If there's a generic equivalent available, you see this a lot with like inhalers and insulins and high priced items that do have a generic available, but they also still have the brand name stuff. Medicaid forces pharmacies. They will not cover the generic, but they will, even though that it's paying out less. They would be paying less by most of the time, at least half. They say, no, you need to fill for the brand name, which not only screws over the taxpayer, and I'm sure someone could push back and say, well, they probably have some kickbacks and drug agreements and rebates with the drug companies, and it actually is a little bit cheaper for them. Okay, maybe. But we don't know that for sure. 2, it screws over pharmacies. I work in an independent pharmacy. I manage an independent pharmacy. The biggest job I have to do is manage that inventory because that makes or break a pharmacy. You don't make like you don't make great money on brand because a whole lot of the stuff with brand generic, not to get into this too deeply tonight, is you get a better rebate when your percentage of generics are higher compared to the percentage of your brand name. What do I mean by that? So like if in a month your total drug bill, 15% of it went to generics, 85% of it went to brand. you get a rebate or whatever that, agreement would for hitting that 15%. Your rebate would be higher though if your ratio was 25% generic, spending the same amount of money, that is 25% generic and 75% brand. So it's economically a lot better for the pharmacy, even though technically you're not getting paid as much from the insurance company. It's better because it doesn't cost you as much to get it. It helps your ratio, which helps your rebate, which helps you keep things going. But it also helps the taxpayer. It's all disgusting. It's gross. Let's see. I heard the seeded oils block the fat receptors. When it's summer, we should have enough fat for winter, then burn them off and slim for summer. Interesting. I was looking, someone came up to me, I had a patient and he was getting testosterone. He was looking to see if the testosterone wasn't made with seed oil, but grape oil and the difference between it. I never dove into that, but that's something I got to look into. All ours had seed oil, but he was looking for grape oil. And so I had never heard about that. That's something I gotta look up and research a little bit more. Thane Slaughter, what's up? He says, happy I found your channel, man. I'll be back 6:17 a.m. and heading to work. All right. Appreciate you tuning in, checking it out. Have a good day at work. And thanks for checking it out. God bless you in your life and work. Thank you. You too. Seed oils are the biggest poison for humanity. No fast food, no seeded oils at home. Nobody would need this Ozempic. You're not wrong.
Medicaid is spending more on mitochondrial dysfunction than the entire U.S. defense budget and growing much faster, right? This is a
mitochondrial
various
metabolic
issues
this
tied
core
to
cellular dysfunction.
Diabetes. We're spending on Medicaid more on preventable metabolic chronic conditions than the defense budget. And Medicaid's one of the fastest growing items in the budget. That's all rigged by pharma as a piggy bank. So this bill, if you put Ozempic on that schedule, then any lower income 6-year-old, the doctor can say, I've got Harvard studies here saying that obesity is genetic. It's not your child's fault. Let's get them a lifetime jabs.
Well, if it's genetic, why didn't it exist 100 years ago?
Good question. But Harvard and the NIH and the American Academy of Pediatrics is saying it's a brain disease. It's genetic.
That's one thing that's been great about COVID. It was miserable. It's terrible. It was a rough time in the country. But at least it opened a lot of people's eyes to all the crazy stuff. I'm not saying everyone's eyes, but all the crazy stuff that goes on in the medical field. And you got more and more people trusting distrusting, I should say, not just going in and trusting the experts. You hear a Harvard study, you're like, oh, that must be legit. Drug studies we're going to do a stream on that because drug studies are like accounting. You can make it say, you could take the data and make it say whatever you want. And then you go over to your buddy and say, hey, peer review this and say it's good. And I'll peer review your stuff and you say it's good. Wham, bam, there we go. Harvard says this is good. But if you actually dig into the data and look at it, it's like, but you guys completely ignore this stuff over here. It'd be like my quickest easy example of it is like they found this they found this drug and they find all these things that looked really, really good. And so they publish it and say, hey, look at this drug. It does this, cures cancer. It does all this great stuff, right? And then you go look at the study. It's like, you only studied like white women. And then when you didn't study white women, it had all these negative side effects. So you stopped studying it and just focused on this one specific population. It's just an example, right? No, it's fine. It's fine because this works really well for white. Oh, it might. But what about men? What about African-American men or women? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. That's how you see all these things. Like when drugs get rolled out and then all of a sudden there's these massive side effects going across the country. And it's like, how did no one see this coming? Because they chose to ignore it.
And on 60 Minutes, as we talked about, a leading Harvard physician, Fatima Cody Stanford, said that throw willpower out the window. This is a genetic condition. And it's actually, she said, an affront and classist and racist to suggest it's anything other than genetic. So that's...
I'm so surprised that they played the race card. Shocked.
The message being told from medical system. You ask why? Because the second you can get that 6-year-old on a lifetime injection, and let's just take this to every drug, it's the chronic disease treadmill. They're told that injection is a savior, right? And then the government, it's the largest line item in our budget. It's going to bankrupt the country. It's growing faster than any other line item in the budget, right? And Medicaid, the government is going to pay for that lower income kid $1,500 a month because the government also has to just pay the sticker price, right? We're paying, our sticker price is 10 times more expensive than Germany. So the second you get something on the,
That's what was amazing about that executive order that Trump had, where foreign countries couldn't charge us more than what they charge their own country. That was amazing. A lot of people overlooked this stuff, didn't understand how huge that was. And that's something that Congress should pass. They won't, because they are in on it like this with the Ozempic, because they're all getting their pockets lined with this crap. But that's what they do. We spend so much more than the rest of the world on a lot of medications. And it's disgusting.
Medicaid schedule, then all lower income people are open season. And what's so criminal about this, and what's so representative of why this is a problem, is that the medical system is saying, they're saying it's a social justice issue, it's a moral issue. We have to pay $1,500 for 74% of US adults who are overweight or obese per month. That we have to find the money. The stock is the 12th most valuable company in the world. I have expectation that the US is going to say that. But where is that urgency from the medical system about why this stuff is happening in the first place, why it's not happening in Japan? Where's the urgency on saying, hey, parents, maybe we shouldn't feed our kids toxic food? Maybe we should be looking at the root cause of obesity. And see, this is the key point. Forget any public policy.
Maybe don't let your 6-year-old slug a 2 liter of soda every day. Just a thought, just an idea. Maybe make them play outside a little bit. I don't know.
Policy. The medical leadership should just say the truth. They should explain why there's an obesity crisis among children. It's not a Ozempic deficiency. It's because of very simple inputs to our metabolic environment and, frankly, a rigged system where our food has been compromised. There's nothing conservative or liberal about our food system being compromised.
I couldn't agree more. It's not.
The medical system, before any public policy, should simply state that. And a key point in America is that we listen to our medical leaders. We changed our diet when the food pyramid came out.
Oh my God. You guys remember that food pyramid? Well, here at the base, you got to get all these carbs, grains and carbs, all that good stuff. That's what you should be eating the most of. What a big scam. Or one year, eggs are good. Actually, eggs are bad. No, egg whites are actually just good. Well, now we kind of think all the good stuff, the nutrients, stuff like that, comes from the yolk. Which is it? Flip flop. So much on that stuff. So frustrating.
Smoking rates plummeted when the Surgeon General report
Majority
came
of
out.
Americans got the COVID vaccine.
When Dr. Fauci said, get the vax, most people, we respect and listen, but medical providers, they actually literally have social justice components where they're actually not able to recommend natural food because there's a component in the USDA nutrition guidelines which takes into account social justice. So they're worried about affordability.
May I ask what does that mean? So it's racist to eat non-poisonous food?
In America, it is classist and racist to suggest that mothers shouldn't be poisoning their kids. Yes, that is what the USDA argues.
So it seems like yet another example. There are so many of them, and you've talked about them when you were lobbying for Coke, of the richest people in the society, the ones who are looting the society, using issues like racism or sexism or classism as cudgels to beat back criticism of their looting.
Right. The NAACP is a registered lobbyist for Ozempic today.
The part that makes us scratch our head is like, how is it? How
the end? We're gonna. They're coming to the end of the Ozempic thing here, but I wanted to get to that part. The NAACP is a lobbyist for Ozempic. Good job, America. Good job. Good job. Takeaways is everything leads back to diet and exercise. There is no easy way out. There is no easy quick cure. One shot or one pill a day is not going to fix all your problems. Eating healthier and getting some exercise. It all comes back to that. But I mean, it's hard because our system is so corrupt and it's just so easy. So easy to go get fast food, right? It's so easy to just, grab something. And then you get addicted to it, and then you get the cravings, and it's hard to kick the cravings, man. That's So dieting is so hard right off the rip. I like to fast. When I like this weekend, starting tomorrow, I'm fasting for the weekend. Well, I guess the weekend started today, but you know what I mean? I'm going to fast the next at least 2 days. It's going to be real tough to fast Sunday night. 'Cause Sunday night, we got a bunch of football. I usually cook up a bunch of good food. And I got the next 2 days off. Either way, I like to do a fast, and it sucks. It's terrible. But you get through the fast, and then all of a sudden your cravings and stuff are all gone. And you're like, hey, we're good. We're starting from scratch. But it's hard to kick those things, you know? It's really hard. But the bottom line, diet, exercise can get you off a majority of medications. I'm not saying there's some people with metabolic issues, hormonal issues. If you know, sometimes you need a thyroid medication, right? It happens. But like a lot of these common chronic conditions, you can reverse it. Our bodies are amazing. We can abuse our bodies so much and put a bunch of crap into it, and it doesn't take that long to bounce back. It's not easy, but it will bounce back. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. The rule makers are eliminating accountability by telling everyone it's not their fault. No, it's not. It's genetic. It's just genetic. It's like you're not fat, you're just big boned. Right? Just big bone, man. My mom says so. Home cooking with family, take charge of your life, get a community together. Yeah, yes, exactly. Exactly. A lot of the stuff has opened my eyes about like what I feed my kids. Right. And man, it was terrible, but they were just so quick and easy. Those Uncrustables. Oh God, those are quick and easy. But we just decided to cut those and make. I mean, you can argue whether PB&Js are good in general. You can make them better than what you can make what's in that Uncrustable, though. You know what I mean? So we switched them to making them ourselves. Also saves a ton of money. But those Uncrustables, so easy, but they're so addicting. And what kind of opened my eye to it was my 4-year-old all of a sudden was down in like 3 of them, and I'm like, dude, you never eat something like this much. And I'm like, yeah, this ain't good. This ain't good for you. We're gonna knock that off real quick. To the point where he wouldn't want to eat anything else. And I'm like, okay, we got a problem here. You look at what's in all that crap, and you're like, yeah, that's no bueno. Anyways, Ozempic, big old scam. You can't cheat. You can't get it's the whole get rich quick thing. Some people, I guess, can. I guess you win the lottery. But you can't take a shot and get skinny. I guess you could. Well, let me rephrase. You can't get healthy. You can get skinny. But you won't be healthy. So I just encourage you all, if you got stuff going on, I know it's hard, but just look into some of these things. All right. Like I said, it's not medical advice. Go talk to your own doctor, your own pharmacist. I'm just here, the uncensored pharmacist, talk about the things people don't want to talk about. Although a lot of you guys are talking tonight, which is great. Appreciate it. If you catching tail end of this, missed the beginning, I kind of give you a little background of my story, of like who I am. One of these days, I'll go into more details about it. I just did a quick little background. We dove into diet and exercise. We talked about Ozempic. I gave him my thoughts. We pulled it up. I talked about it, and then we watched this interview here. This one little segment of it that Tucker had with these doctors on here. But I do want to watch this whole thing because you hear them talking about like poisonous food and processed foods and stuff like that. They go into good depth about that. So we will react to that, plus a whole bunch of other things on this channel. I am going to start committing to doing more content on here. Like I said, I do a sports show every single morning at 4:30 a.m., which is in 6 hours. And yes, I will be there in 6 hours. So just finding the time to work these in. But seems like a lot of people are enjoying this and like it. So I am going to make the commitment to continue to putting out more content and streams and stuff like that, talking about issues that I think are important, that younger people especially need to start being aware of, and just saying, not ignoring it because they're healthy now. Because even though they're healthy now, it does affect them now, and it's definitely going to affect them when they get older and unhealthy. So that being said, You guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel on your way out. Live on YouTube, Twitch, X, and mainly here on Rumble. But appreciate you guys all being here. Millie Goat says, can't save for your retirement in 1 month. Anything that's long term requires consistency. That's right. That's why I don't think you were here yet, AK, when I said all diets are scams, because all diets fail, right? You can't just diet. You have to be, if you really want to keep the weight off, you have to do a lifestyle change. So, but like I said, if you want to watch all that, go back to the beginning, watch this, share it out there with your friends. And I'll see you guys on the next stream, which I will be doing one of these nights this weekend. I don't know exactly when it is. But anyways, you guys have a good night. And for those of you that catch the morning show, I'll see you guys in 6 hours on the Sports Morning Espresso Shot over on Game On here on Rumble. Until then, you guys have a wonderful evening, and God bless.